So we're going to do an after-action report of Holland 44, except that I've never played this game. So this will be, I don't know what I'll be doing per se. No real thoughts on strategy on this one. But it will be a learning game, and this is a bit different from his other 44 series of games. One notable is the combat has been changed a bit. So we'll see how this plays out. So this is the start of turn 3. So after turn 1 and turn 2, you can see that 30 core is pushed up a bit, 12th core is pushed out, whereas 8th core is kind of stalled. But the Germans have basically nothing much up here, some hidden units, which is new to the system. The Allies here have got the main bridges are blown, which is good for the Germans, but one bridge survived over here, but it's quite a curious route to get around. But also one bridge is still good up here. 101st is just holding out. There's nothing between 101st and 82nd up here. 82nd, it's got the two bridges main there. Haven't really tested that guy. Should have. I'll have to roll and see what that one happens. The Germans have pushed against the 82nd here, and Nijmegen is pretty held tightly there. But up here in Arnhem, the railroad bridge survived, so they're going to try to hold that because Arnhem here is being held. That full retreat should be down one level, and holding the airborne landings here. Not a lot of units for the Germans in this so far. We'll see how things go. On the turn track, I got all the reinforcements. The Germans pretty much get a steady supply, whereas the Allies, it's a bit of a trickle. And we'll see how things turn out. Well, on the first turn, actually, the airborne landings were quite good. No losses at all. So, interesting development on that for the Allies. So this is the status of turn 4. Beginning of turn 4. All the way up here at Arnhem. Interesting development is basically first Para Division is not going to get Arnhem Bridge, but they actually got the railroad bridge there. Got on the other side. The Germans are going to pretty much surround these guys. But 82nd had a bit of a problem. Their artillery unit died on landing. Looking to make it across, but the reinforcements are coming in for the Germans, so it's looking problematic there. But there's no Germans really all the way through the center here. Big problem for the Allies, and good for the Germans, is all the bridges are out on the main line, but one open over here. But hopefully Germans can muck up the works in here at Eindhoven. And the traffic markers are really slow on the 30 Corps up along the road. 8th Corps actually got over the canal and forced the Germans back a little bit, just reposition the line better. But they're not going anywhere too quick because those bridges, all the bridges on their side are knocked out. This one, Germans retreated a little too far. Then I was like, oh, can do the automatic repair without using the bridging units. And see what turn 4 will do. So this is the status at the beginning of turn 5. Not much has happened up here on the Arnhem region. The Germans are kind of shoring up their lines. British are trying to extend a little bit out on the railroad bridge that they took. Oh, remove this. And the 82nd actually cleared most of Nijmegen. What they set up, the Germans set up a defense here, but still there's nothing in the center here. But the Germans down here forming a blocking position on the 101st, trying to set up a pocket here to threaten Eindhoven, and moving troops along this frontage here to cause issues for the British. And see what happens next turn. So this is the beginning of turn 6 here in Arnhem area. In turn 5, the Germans counterattacked, started piercing the perimeter. So see how that's going to work out for them. Everything else was pretty quiet here in the 82nd zone. Down here in the 101st, also very quiet. And also down here in the 30 Corps area. Not much happening either. So this is the start of turn 7 situation here. The 1st Airborne is having issues because this whole day, no airborne because it's completely cloudy, and the Germans are pushing the perimeter here tightly. My very forward defense for the 1st Airborne is not working, trying to cover all these drop zones. But we're going to have to fall back a little bit because the Germans are getting a little more powerful here. 82nd still holding along this line, but the issue here is the Germans have got a guy coming on this side of the bank. He can come all the way over here, and these guys are very light fellow there. And then we got over here at the 101st, this armored units are moving up along here on this road, causing some issues. But the interesting thing here for the Allies is that they got their bridging unit up here outside of Eindhoven. So, but basically this turn it will be partially repaired, but we got all these army units got to move up, but also they're being stuck. The 8th Corps over there, And I kind of shifted too many of these guys over here on this side for the Allies. I'm going to have to shift them out, but and over here, the interesting thing on this game is that you can jump from one entry zone to another. So even these guys are stuck on this side of the river, they can fall back here and then move up and over to support these guys. So see how things continue. So this is the beginning of turn 8, night turn. So 30 cores still kind of bottled up down here. Not really a good spearhead, but I mean, the Son Bridge is only going to be opened at this turn. The 101st is still holding. Germans are dropping back on the outskirts of Eindhoven because their supply basically got cut there. And the army units attacked up there, but engaged, stalled. The 82nd actually got on the other side of Nijmegen Bridge, so they took it. But it's very precarious here. But the 1st Airborne here status is looking grim, but they held all along the perimeter here for their attacks. But it's not looking good with no reinforcements this last 2 turns. Well, actually 3rd, this night turn. Hopefully the weather will clear the next day to get some reinforcements, especially 82nd, to exploit their situation, and the 1st Division can hold on. So this is the end of turn 8, start of turn 9. Up here, Arnhem is not going well for the British. Without the reinforcements, they're getting lost this key little town hex up here, and things are getting tight up there. Might change things. All quiet with the 82nd. But Germans are pushing in reinforcements here, down in here. But the Allies are pushing up here and get that bridge built. But they already have the railroad bridge here open, so they don't have to wait for it. Germans are pulling out here, kind of shifting forces a little bit. Kind of digging along this line for the Germans. The Allies are trying to shift resources away from here to get them up to the airborne divisions. So we'll see how the weather turns, because not getting any paratroopers for the 2 turns, really hurt. So this is the beginning of turn 10. Things are looking grim up here for the 1st Division, Airborne Division. Getting attacked along the perimeter. I think the perimeter was a little too thin. And then trying to consolidate 82nd here, but things were just surrounded, but I mean, they're getting more reinforcements, so it's getting thin. But the big problem for the Allies is the Germans took Uden, pushed out the 101st, and yeah, the bridge will be coming up, but it's going to take some effort to knock those guys out of the town, since they're doubled in there. And everything else is pretty quiet. The Germans are just going to hold this line and force the Allies to defend it. And they're holding that line there. And let's see how things go. The weather's not cooperating for paratroop landings these past few turns. So this is the end of turn 10. The Germans are squeezing the pocket up here. I am on the 1st Airborne Division in Arnhem. They're doing some heavy attacks on the perimeter here on the 82nd. But they really got blocked here for 30 Corps. I'm gonna have to pull up some guys to get it broken through. And it's just a nice long traffic jam all the way up on the road. So this is a night turn, so we'll see how this turns out for the Allies. It's not looking good for the 1st Division up here. So this is the end of turn 11. Things are not looking good for 1st Airborne. They lost the railroad bridge. They're getting pulled in that little teeny pocket. I kind of tried to consolidate, which may have not been a good idea. Then over here, the 82nd is just holding out the line as they're waiting for everybody to catch up back here. The Allies rolled pretty well to take that town, forcing the Germans out, but they just kind of retreated back along the road. And they're covering the road here. But keeping the Germans are keeping the Allies kind of on a slow pace. Bridges didn't help at all. And just quiet along the edges here. And we'll see what happens. So this is the end of turn 12. The pocket is getting tinier for the 1st Airborne Division. 82nd still holding. 30 Corps is basically ripped through, so they actually can start making it up to 82nd. But it's these traffic jams are really slowing things down. The Germans are just holding on the edges, waiting for tying down the troops, trying to block the guys coming in. So we'll see what happens on turn 13. So this is the end of turn 13. Germans squeezing the pocket on the 1st Airborne Division. But the guards have come up across Nijmegen up here. And putting some pressure on the 82nd over there. So the Allies are going to have to bring some units over to block and then, if push out, bringing in more units up along the road here, trying to protect the road. 101st is doing minor things, and more just quiet all the way down here, tying units down for the Allies. The Germans play on that, but we'll see how everything turns out. It looks not good for the 1st Airborne Division. The interesting thing is, in this game you can overstack up to 9 steps, so kind of sneak units through, as they did up here in Nijmegen, the armored units. We'll see how things. So this is the end of turn 14. The 1st Division is getting squeezed a little bit more. The guards are now across the bridge and from Nijmegen pushing out, but 82nd's getting pushed hard here. Germans really can't do anything in this gap. There's not much here to do anything. Trying to figure out how to shift things over. And I'll pretty much quiet over here. I think the Allies might have too many units here, but if you thin it out, the Germans could counterattack. And we'll see what tomorrow brings for these guys. So this is the end of turn 15. It's kind of stalemated out, but the guards are pushed further out, but it's hex by hex. The nice thing this next turn, the Poles can come in, so they're going to drop and help the defense of the 1st Division. Just Germans along the line trying to cause problems, but not much else is happening other than small attack here, trying to cause issues. And we'll see what next turn brings. So this is the end of turn 16. We're here up in Arnhem, and the guards are pushing up. Poles actually landed, and everywhere else is pretty much stalemated. And yeah, not much going on anywhere, just holding the line as much as possible. Germans have units, but not a lot of combat power. And the Allies got combat power, but they got to spread it all out. So, and the Germans know where they're going. So this is the end of turn 17. Just stalemating up here, trying to reduce the pocket. But guards are pushing out, but they're running out of units. Bringing up more units, but the Germans trying to hold the line here and up here. But I think the Allies may make it to the 1st Division. We got 2 more day turns and then 1 night turn. So we'll see if they can do it. So this is the end of turn 18 here in Arnhem region, where most of the action is going on. So the guards are pushing slowly up, but I mean with 2 turns it may not even reach the 1st Airborne Division. They lost key town hex there. They'll probably lost those guys in the clear hex in front of the bridge. Still have the ferry, but this little minor river is really gonna cause some problems for the Allies to get over with only limited units. So this is the end of turn 19, and the interesting thing is I've gotten contact by taking that ferry there to the pocket, but looking over the victory conditions is meaningless because it's based on how many units you get over the lower Rhine, non-airborne, and if you control city hexes. And the Germans actually have 4.5 points, victory points right now by those kills. So if this next turn they kill anybody, they'll tie the Allies that have Nijmegen for 2 city and over down here for Eindhoven for 3, so they have a total of 5. So if they kill basically 2 steps, they'll win by 5.5 for the Germans. And the Allies didn't go for these 2 hexes for victories as an option. Kind of just stalled and threw everybody up the road. But the interesting development over down here, because they got a kill on a unit here, is they punched a hole. So the Allies got to bring guys up to hold this. They can try to kill a step or 2 down here by rolling. So we'll see what happens on the final turn, who wins. So this is game status. The Germans almost pulled it off, but rolling poorly up here against the 1st Airborne Division. They did a couple of exchanges and it only dropped units down to remnant. But the Guards got up to the railroad bridge up here and pushing hard up here, but there was no way, you know, a few more turns and they may have gotten across this river to attack Arnhem, but that was very iffy. Also playing for the first time, playing basically suboptimal for both sides, but seeing how this game can play out after my first play is that it's a good game. It's really hinged on whether or not your die rolls make it easier for one side or harder for the other. Basically on the weather for landing the paratroopers and how well they land, which bridges are blown and which are not. All make it easier or harder for the Allies or Germans. And knowing how the terrain really affects where everybody goes. And this game is interesting with the new changing of the Zocbons, how they are done, and infiltration rules. You know, it's not as rock hard as the other Simovich 40 games are. So that's the status here. Kind of pushed out here, but Germans were blocked on the last turn. But they do have combat power. If the Allies thin out their line, they can still pierce through. As seen up here with the 82nd, it was needed to be reinforced. So this game is quite good. A lot of thinking and how to do it. It was close. 5 victory points for the Allies and 4.5 for the Germans. So close game, and I had to play it all the way to the last turn. It was that close. So good game overall so far on one play, and that should do it.